Hello everyone, it's AKW Blaze91, Anthony Abel here once again, and first of all, a little bit late doing the video for games I bought in March. Trust me, I've been busy with all kinds of stuff, but it mainly involves one game that I've been busy with, because I'm going to say this. Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition, I finished the main story on it, and videos are being uploaded one at a time. So, I've got just so right now I've just got a couple more, just something like 4 or 5 videos to upload, and it should be done today. And then lastly, I'll have this video uploaded now to show you the games I bought in March. So it's just to give you a little heads up. I finished this game now. I've enjoyed myself going through this game. It's a trip. It was a trip down memory lane, that's for sure. I enjoyed playing this game back on the Xbox 360. It was a game that changed my attitude toward the Xbox 360 console. And eventually I started playing games on the Xbox 360, at least until 3 years later, when I eventually just started playing games on the PS3, and I became a full-on PlayStation gamer from that point onward. So I'm absolutely happy with the new release of Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. I've done a game review on it. It's up on my GameSpot channel. Feel free to check that out. It was a fantastic game, and I'm happy, truly pleased to have done a review for this game. Truly outstanding stuff. Now then, we are on to the meat for this video. I have bought 2 games, and Thomas, there was one game of those you didn't want me to get after you showed it to me on one of your videos. And I was saying that it was one game that was so bad you didn't want, that you called it one of the worst that you've ever played. And I bought it alongside another game which features a certain character from that series, and we all know what it is. And allow me to show you. First up, Tekken 7. I used to enjoy a lot of Tekken games. I used to play a fair bit of Tekken back in the day. Tekken 3 was one of my very first PlayStation 1 games I've ever played. I was over at one of my old friend's house, Carl Joseph's house, one time, and Carl Joseph was when I got introduced to the PlayStation. And I ended up getting my own PlayStation afterwards, with my own copy of Tekken 3. And me and my brothers all had a blast with Tekken 3. And eventually we got Tekken 1 and eventually Tekken 2, which were good games, but they didn't live up to the excellence found in Tekken 3. And I still got my Tekken 2 and Tekken 3 games, but we don't have the first. I'm not sure what we did with the first Tekken game. I remember Gareth got rid of it or something. I know Tekken 1 and Tekken 2 were Gareth's, but Tekken 3 was mine. And yeah, and I'm not sure what happened with the physical copy of Tekken 1, but I eventually did decide to download the first Tekken game on the PS3, which was a PS1 game anyway. And Tekken 4, eventually my brother Michael got that one, and Tekken 5, and Tekken 6, I never bothered to get any of those. I started losing my interest in fighting games afterwards, until now. Tekken 7 is a very, very enjoyable fighting game. I've sort of played a little bit of it to experiment with it. It's really good. It's got a good combo fighting system. One which I'll have a bit of practice with, and then maybe I'll go through a trophy run on this game. And now I'm going to go back into this. And now there's a reason I also got Tekken 7, and it's also going to talk about another game which, again, Thomas Spivey did want me to have this game, and for a good reason. And it is, let me talk about Tekken 7's DLC. One specific character got thrown in as DLC, which left me in a fit of rage. And it is, I have it right here, Noctis from Final Fantasy 15 is in it. Why? Why the fuck would you want a Final Fantasy character in a Tekken game? I was like, what? Who the fuck came up with that idea? What fan-fictional turd came up with the idea of, oh, let's put a Final Fantasy character in a Tekken game? It is just stupid beyond any sane person's level. Like, I would be okay, I'd be somewhat alright if Noctis were included in Soul Calibur 6, because Soul Calibur is a weapon-based fighting game, so it makes kind of sense, so it would make sense. But no, you have to put Noctis in Tekken 7. And it's just, seriously, it's just utterly stupid as hell. So, but on the positive side, I decided to buy the DLC, just only because I just want to beat the crap out of Noctis. Because recently there's been a release of Final Fantasy 15 episode Arden, and I've downloaded the DLC and I'm ready to go through it. But the question is, do I really have to? Do I have to push myself? Do I have to really push myself to go through more of Final Fantasy 15? I'm going to go through the next round in a moment, because I need to talk about the other game. Here it is. Here's the game I'm mandated to show it, but Thomas Spivey, you told me not to get this, but here it is. Dissidia Final Fantasy NT. I watched one of Thomas Spivey's videos. Thomas Spivey, I watched your video showcasing about you saying, with you talking about this game, and you saying that it was one of the worst Final Fantasy games you ever played, and that everything is a complete mess up from beginning to end, and something along those lines. And all I can say is, I played this game. I bought this game for tenner in CEX. I eventually decided to play it for myself after I saw the announcement that there's a free edition for this game. And I thought to myself, why? Why would you need a free edition when people have already spent like their hard-earned cash getting the physical copy? It's not exactly creating a free edition, ain't it? And then I gotta say this. I eventually decided to buy this game because there was a free edition, to see if I wanted to throw a review just to exploit how crappy this game is. After Thomas Ivy said, oh, this was absolutely terrible. And all I can say about this game is, Thomas Ivy, you were right. You were absolutely right about this game. Dissidia, Final Fantasy NT isn't just bad. It's not just god awful. It is not just horrific. It is a travesty to the series. And you want to know something about this? This started as an arcade game. Yes, I swear it's true. And I've seen it online. This Final Fantasy game was originally intended for the arcades, and it was made by, I'm trying to find the company now. It was made by Team Ninja and Koei and Team Koei, of all things. The same guys who worked on Kemi, KT or something, or whatever they call it. They're the same guys who work on, what is it, the Dynasty Warrior games? Kemco or something. Or whatever they're called. But aren't they the same company that worked on the Dynasty Warrior games? Or something? I have honestly no idea. But this is their logo. If you can see it, they're the guys who worked on this travesty. And they originally intended this to be an arcade game, and they thought, let's bring it to the PS4. And oh my god, all they did, they took everything that was good about the PSP games and just flushed all the good down the toilet. And instead of shitting it in the right phase of the toilet, like putting it down in the middle seat of the toilet bowl, they put it in the top end of the toilet bowl. So when you flush the toilet, out comes the shit. And this is what this game, and that is what this game is. It is a turd. It is a biggest turd in the Final Fantasy series of all. And a big turd to the city, more or less. Everything from the mechanics and the gameplay was deeply worsened in every possible way. The gameplay is absolutely chaotic. Remember how there was one-on-one fighting with characters break each other's bravery and if they get enough, they can use their HP attack to wipe them out, to not destroy them. That's there, but it's more chaotic. It's free-on-free fighting, and it's insanely chaotic. You got you're not only targeting one character, but you gotta try to target three enemies on the battlefield at once. And it just becomes insanely too much. So not only have you got like the villains the heroes and villains from the Final Fantasy universe, but you also got some new characters, mostly, I think someone from Final Fantasy. No, hang on. I think you got Locke from Final Fantasy VI, who's DLC. You got Noctis from Final Fantasy 15. Oh my god, yep. And although strangely Arden isn't in this game for some reason, or whatever. Not sure why, but Then you got Snow from 13, who's DLC. Riona from 8, who's also DLC. But aside from that, you've just got the usual heroes and villains from all of the previous Final Fantasy games, including Kafka, who's just amazing as ever. Sephiroth, also incredible. Yeah. But the core gameplay of it is just horrendous. It is so bad. And how bad is it? It's trying to survive in the environment. It's trying to stay away. is trying to survive when everybody's all attacking at once. 3-on-3 is just too overwhelming. Everybody flies around, the controls are stiff as hell. And like trying to attack an enemy is a chore in itself. Sometimes I'm just thinking that the hit detection is off. Because I seem to think that your attacks just pass through them or something. But try locking on to certain things. Like you can lock onto an enemy using the trigger buttons on the PS4 controller, the L2 and R2 buttons. But get this, during the core battles, you have to press for a split second the L2 and R2 buttons at the same time to target the core. And sometimes it just fiddles around with itself. Like you'll either target a different, and you'll end up targeting a different enemy. You could end up targeting your own summon for some reason. Or you could be targeting the wrong core that hasn't spawned on the field. And the core battle is just more horrific. You have to target these cores in order to damage the enemy's core, or otherwise you're just simply wasting your time. And this game lacks the RPG aspect of the PSP games. You know, when like you win a fight, you gain experience points, and eventually you level up your characters. Well, you can level up your characters with experience points you gain from fights, but the proper core of the RPG leveling is gone entirely. Like if you're like level 10 or something, it's no different from what you are being at level 1. They treat it like it's some casual online game, like it's an online. You're treating it like it's just a standard multiplayer game where they just throw the leveling system just for ranking purposes. It's just not right. And weapons and appearances that you can get don't even do anything. They're just cosmetics. And most importantly, I'm just gonna hang on. Let me just check on my time here. Ah, yeah, still got a bit of time. But most importantly, though, the biggest kicker for Dissidia NT is the story. Do you want to know how to advance the story? You collect Memoria by playing the Gauntlet mode. Either the regular mode or the core mode, or by doing some of the story challenges in the Gauntlet mode. Like, why? What were they thinking? Like, who came up with the idea of you have to play the story, you have to play the offline modes or online modes just to get the memorias so that you can use them to advance the story. And the story of this game, I don't even want to talk about it. It's so bad. Let me try and calm down a sec. Right, get this. All 15 of the original Final Fantasy all 15 of the heroes from the Final Fantasy universe are all gathered by a new goddess named Materia. Materia, like as in Materia from Final Fantasy 7. I don't know, never mind, I don't know. And she says that in order to preserve the peace of the land, they have to fight. If you didn't face palm at any of the storyline stuff, I don't know what will. Because parts of this is just pure fan fiction. It has to have been written by a kid who's only reading the Final Fantasy universe for the first time, but doesn't really grasp it in any function whatsoever. It's as dumb as having, you know, Noctis in this game. Very fan fiction. And trust me, I've read a fair bit of fan fiction that at times is so stupid and just think to yourself, yeah, that's some utter crap. But at least any of it wasn't done without any actual care or effort. But the City of NT's story is full price. Was a full price game, and they come up with a story like that. It is just an absolute kick in the nuts. The story is. Yeah, you got Lightning, who's possibly just as unlikable. And I've only played like the first moments of the story. But I'm probably going to know it. Lightning's just as unlikable as ever. Violet's just as uninterested in anything as ever. And everything else not entirely as good as ever. But Noctis, what did they do to Noctis? They just sort of threw him in, like he's just like, you know, what? Huh? They threw him in the game like he's not interested and like he doesn't care or anything. Come on. At least in the game, at least in Final Fantasy 15, he had care. But at least he cared and somewhat in the games. In the original, in the 15 game he was in. And in some chapters, there would be, and in chapter 9 at the end, he had an emotional moment, and in chapter 11 and 12, he had some breakdown moments where you could actually find a reason to care until chapter 10, where Gladio just throws every bit of likeness out of Noctis out the toilet, on the toilet with his dirty hands. But in the story, but in the city of NT, it's like, why did they even care? It's like, who cares? Which I'm assuming is possibly the attitude in the developers. But like when they were working on this, that's what I'd like to think. The story is just I don't know. It's a real mess of a story. Purely, it is just fan fiction at its finest. Like, I've read a huge amount of crappy fan fiction. That's on par with this. You can't simply just throw a Final Fantasy character into Tekken 7. It just doesn't make any fucking sense at all. That would be like if I took, what is it? Let's think of some franchises now. Let's think about other franchises now. And let's cram some of them together just for the sake of no reason. That wouldn't make any sense at all. That would be like if I threw Ghostbusters with aliens. As in, you know, the 20th Century Fox's Aliens franchise with the Ghostbusters license. It just doesn't make any logical sense at all. Why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense in any logical fashion whatsoever. Or let's think of another franchise that wouldn't make any sense where you throw the two of them together. Let me think. I'm trying to think. James Bond with Resident Evil. Yeah, that would be beyond levels of stupid, because James Bond is a secret agent franchise. And mowing James Bond with Resident Evil zombies, that would just be absurdly stupid. And another thing, that would be like if you threw the Tales franchise with another franchise like Danganronpa, which I've heard a little bit about. Yeah, take Tales of a series that's got. Tales series is known for like its high impact action anime combat, with everybody throwing kinds of different moves and arts, and putting it into a high school setting, into a ridiculous high school setting like Danganronpa. And guess what? Some kids on Facebook actually did that. And I've read only 2-3 pages of it before saying to myself, wow, it looks stupid. When they changed the villain into making him look like a Chico, a cross between a Chico and a Toganaga. It looks utterly stupid. And I've seen it. Tales of Danganronpa on Facebook. Doesn't make any fucking sense at all. And whoever came up with that is a real sucker for fanfiction. Like, you have to really be stupid to come up with that. And I mean, Tales of has a high school setting, and I think on Tumblr there was like a Tales high school setting, where like all the Tales characters were in school uniforms. Tales of Academia, I think it was called, and there were like some English there was like some English released English translated pages some guys did. They did a translation for that, and officially some group who in conjunction with Bandai Namco created the Tales Academia, which was a high school setting for the Tales universe, but the Tales characters in a high school setting, and it was ridiculous, but it had its funny charms, like Philia with a Philia bomb, so it kept its theme entirely. Tales of Danganronpa, it didn't follow the material for both of them. It instead just did its own thing, then threw a couple of stupid stuff together, and none of it made any sense at all. Like, at all. And I played a fair amount of Tales to notice it, and even though I've never played any of the Danganronpa games, I've heard about it because I think, Thomas, you might Thomas Bivey has done a maybe. Alright, I'm back. Yeah, sorry from that. The camera's not adjusting properly. I just had to. I mean, I'm recording this on my PlayStation V using my PS Vita's cameras. I'm sorry, my PlayStation Vita's camera system. But anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, Tales of Danganronpa is stupid, and it would be on Tales of Danganronpa on Facebook that I read. It was absolutely stupid. Didn't make any fucking sense at all. Paid no attention to any of the materials from both of them, and instead just did its own thing. And it never made any, and it didn't make any absolute sense at all, and it didn't resolve anything. Just completely threw things all together, and it completely just paid attention to nothing. And then that's entirely the case of fan fiction, as to what these two are. Of what these two games I've purchased really are. And the only and as much as I said, and I played a fair amount of Tales, and I haven't played the Danganronpa game, but I haven't played the Danganronpa game, but I did look at Thomas Bivey's trophies, and I did notice he was there, and I did notice he played one of those games, and I thought I'd look into what the heck it was. It's just a visual novel game. So why would you take a visual novel why would you take a visual novel like Danganronpa and take an action RPG franchise like Tales of and put them both together to create something so stupid? Makes no sense in any universe whatsoever. And I didn't put any dislikes, and I chose not to put any dislikes to it. But if I do ever see that again, probably might end up putting a dislike on it, just to tell it to fuck off. If I do end up catching it. And again, it was made by some kids or something. It was made by some group of guys or whatever who do RPs on it. And they made it into an RP as well. Yeah, gotta mention that. But there is cases where you can make something like that work. And there is one franchise that can make something work from its own material. And that is, let me just get it out, Hyperdimension Neptunia. Hyperdimension Neptunia, you can take any of a franchise, mix it in with it, and you can make it work, because Neptunia is a franchise that makes fun of other game universes. Like Hyperdimension Neptunia makes fun of MMORPGs. Hyperdimension, no, hang on, not Division. Game. Hyperdimension Neptunia Producing Perfection makes fun of idols and I think visual novels. I'm not sure. I haven't got that game. The original Hyperdimension Neptunia games on the PS3, they make jokes about the RPG genre. And then you see all these various mods for Neptunia. You put it into various PC games as well. Like I've seen, what is it? Thomas shared on the channel. Some guy made a mod for Grand Theft Auto 5 with Neptunia characters in it, and I thought that looks hilarious. That's hilarious. And then some guy made a Call of Duty Black Ops 3 mod with Neptunia characters in it, and it is one of the funniest things people have ever seen. So taking Neptunia and putting it into, something like Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, Resident Evil, which I also did find out as well, would actually work fine for it if you look at the game, if you look at the material I think that it works. Like I would happily take any Neptunia mod, be put in a game like Resident Evil, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, or Left 4 Dead, instead of seeing Noctis in Tekken 7 or a group of role-playing kids making Tales of Danganronpa, which is the stupidest thing, which is among the stupidest things I've ever seen on Facebook ever. So that is my eternal rant. Oh. Oh. For that. So what do I think of it? So what do I think of this game, Dissidia NT Final Fantasy? Going back to this game now, it's complete garbage, and I have to say, it is really, really, really bad. Like in comparison to the PSP original. This one is deep. This one's got its deep amount of issues. This one's got some deep flaws, but there's still some good amount of value to be had with it. Like I enjoy going through this, and even though the story is at times too loose. No, I wouldn't say loose. Even though the story is not great. But at least there are like some 1 or 2 cutscene moments which are good, except for Lightning, who's a total bitch and a half who needs to fucking kill herself. And the gameplay also is flawed, but still enjoyable. I can still find some things sentimentally enjoyable about it. But Dissidia NT it is broken beyond belief. Like, I can't believe how they managed to take the Dissidia PSP games and worsen every aspect of it completely. Like, it is absolutely bad. And again, Thomas, you were right about this. So then why did I get this game? Aside from the fact that I'm just a huge, complete, total sucker for this kind of crap. They made a free edition. And I'm gonna look into it, and it has its own trophy list from the main game. So on top of I'm getting trophies for this game, you got trophies for the free edition. Oh God, it's gonna be a nightmare. Like, it is gonna be a complete horrendous nightmare. Oh, and I fear the damage Square is going to do with the free edition. But basically with the free edition is, unlike the main game, all you get with the free edition is just the online mode and the offline gauntlet modes without the storyline, and it picks only 4 characters which are randomly picked out every week. Why? Why 4? Dissidia NT is a free-on-free fighting game. Why 3? Why 4? Why not, I don't know, 6 or 9? Why not 6 or 9 characters? Like pick pick 3 heroes and 3 villains. 4 is just an utterly stupid idea right off the bat. But the only thing good, but if you have the DLC purchased for the main game of the CNT, it will work with Final Fantasy NT 3 Edition. I just don't know what is going on with Square Enix anymore. They used to make good games, and last year they made a crap ton of bad games. Besides Dragon Quest X, no, not Dragon Quest X, Dragon Quest XI, and The World Ends With You Final Remix. So you think with those 2 games, you think Square would turn over a new leaf, alongside Octopath Traveler, which looked really good. I hope that game comes to the PlayStation 4 because I think that would truly be worthwhile if it were released on multiple platforms. But whenever they touch a Final Fantasy game, shit just really goes up the creek. And may I remind you as well, guys, the last good Final Fantasy game we actually had in the main line of games was Final Fantasy X. Even though it wasn't as amazing as, like Final Fantasy 9 or 7 or 6. But it was still good. Even though 10 had problems with the license board. No, not license board, it's the sphere grid. See, I'm really starting to lose it now. The Final Fantasy universe. Right. Square is really just losing their touch with the Final Fantasy universe. And with all the news and not so good things we're hearing about with the upcoming Final Fantasy VII remake, I don't think I want to get my hopes up at all with the Final Fantasy VII remake. I would rather give up on hopes for the Final Fantasy VII remake with all the development cycles and changes and the displeasures I'm going to have with Final Fantasy as a whole. But this is one of those things where, like, when a franchise goes too far, it starts to fall apart. And this is where the Final Fantasy universe has been going, my friends. The same can go into Final Fantasy 15, but on the positive side of the Final Fantasy 15 universe, we're just down to episode Arden, and that's it. The Final Fantasy 15 universe is over. That's just going to bring me up to what I'm going to be doing the next couple of weeks now. I'm going to be focusing now on Final Fantasy 15 episode Arden. I'll do a playthrough of it, and review it, and then that will end the Final Fantasy 15 run for good. And I hope to God no more Final Fantasy 15 no more DLC for Final Fantasy 15 ever comes out for it. Because, don't know if you guys recall that there was going to be the Season 2 DLC for 15 that would include an episode Noctis, an episode Aranea, and an episode Luna Freya. And I wish to myself, why the hell would you need an episode Luna Freya? Why would you need an episode Aranea? And why the crap would you need an episode Noctis when you already played through the whole entire game as Noctis? There's just some large amount of questionable things Square Enix does with the Final Fantasy universe that it doesn't make any sense. And it's just all idiotic marketing ploys that they'll just throw and And it doesn't matter how idiotic it is, there's just going to be 90% of defenders. There's just going to be 90% of defenders just defending whatever stupid thing Square Enix does. And hopefully when I'm done with Final Fantasy 15, I am returning to Tales of Vesperia because I want to make this game my 20th Platinum trophy. I'm 70% done with the trophies in this game, and when I go through the 2 optional dungeons and the Colosseum, which are the Necropolis of Nostalgia and Labyrinth of Memories, which I've never done before when I played the Xbox 360 original, I'll go through the Colosseum, and then I'll eventually decide to go through the whole entire game again, New Game Plus, but without using any of the New Game Plus features, because I want to go through the whole entire game legit and without cheating. And the reason I say without cheating is because I did cheat a bit in my playthrough, but it was just so that I could take on Dawn Whitehouse without spending, like, you know, hours of grinding just to try and beat him. But this time, when I go through the game, I'm going to try and do it legit, without cheating, and without using any of the DLC costumes. And I'll probably do a separate playlist showcasing the side quests I've missed. Showcasing the side quests, including the ones I've missed. And also another playlist that will show just the boss battles. Played on the hardest, played on normal, and then maybe another playlist I'll do it on hard, and with Japanese voicing as well. So that would be what I'll be focusing on as well, and maybe also I plan on focusing on this game as well, because I want to review that and play that and then review it, and then if my patience can handle it, I'll review this and the free edition as well, if I can get some trophy boostings going for it. It will be a painful journey, but at least I'll have plenty of Tales of Vesperia to keep me occupied, and I'll have Patty Fleur, which is what I'm using on my Facebook, which I have as my Facebook avatar, to keep me motivated as well. So these are going to be my main plans that I'll be having. And as for other game reviews, I've got a couple of reviews I might work on, but I'll see if whether or not I want to do them or undo them or not. So hope you guys enjoyed my little rant here. I'm going to take some time to cool off now after a long hour of ranting. And I hope to see you all in the next video. Please look forward to my new content. And I'll see you all in the next video. Take care of yourselves. And goodbye.